Hey Spectrum, it's Ark and Natalie here with some noise for this week.
Let's jump right into announcements. If you are considering joining yearbook or broadcast next year, don't forget an application is required. Talk to Mrs. Faber or Mrs. Crest for more information.
Girls Lacrosse is starting up soon in collaboration with Big Lake High School. If you are interested in looking for more information, email athletics@spectrumhighschool.org.
Arik, have you ever noticed all the student-made art hung up around the school?
I have, and a lot of it is really impressive.
I agree. Let's kick it over to Ruby, Ethan, and I for some more info.
From the murals to the hallways to the college and career center, art is found in many places in school. But why is it so important to have art in school?
I think it's important to display artwork wherever possible. I'm a little biased in that way, but I feel like when you walk through a school, it's really important to see the students being represented, and maybe not just in the designated spots, but in places where maybe that were blank and kind of blah, like add some color, add some flair, add some, student work, show them off, because students work so hard that I think it's really important to show off what they're doing and let everybody see.
I feel like it's important to have art in the school because it allows children to express their feelings, and also to have something to kind of get ready for the day and kind of just be like a calm class, nothing too crazy is happening.
I think it's important because then people can express their creativity, and it's a more fun class that's not just like homework and writing. It's really fun to have an art class.
Just like students, teachers have their own motivations for their creative pursuits.
As far as art, I've always been the artsy kid, and all the way from elementary to high school, and so it was a no-brainer that I wanted to teach art. So
Spectrum's art teachers have a huge impact on students and have helped them bring their ideas into a physical representation.
I fully believe that art is essential to have in schools because it gives students that creative outlet and a place where they can use the other side of their brain. Like, a lot of school is using logic and that problem solving and that really critical side of your brain. Whereas art, yes, you're doing problem solving, and yes, you're still thinking critically, but it's in a whole different way.
Studies show, and I've known for years, that participating in art, doing art, seeing art can really help with mental health and just brings things up. People are happier.
Each artist has created a piece that is on display in the College and Career Center, and their inspiration and motivations for the art comes from just everyday items.
Well, we had to do a morph project, so we had to choose an inanimate object and mostly something non-living, and then choose a living object, usually an animal. So some people did take the Kentucky Fried Chicken to a whale. I chose a pear to a parakeet because they have a similar shape and a similar name.
So what inspired that artwork was essentially I was hungry because I have artwork first hour, and I just always liked chicken tenders, and we had to choose something that was non-living and form it into something that was living. And I thought that whales were easy to draw since they can free flow. So that's what I turned it into.
The focus on this drawing was metamorphosis, and I didn't have any direct inspiration, any one person that inspired me to do this. It was mostly just Pinterest or Instagram photos.
From some chicken tender whales to a pear parakeet, the creativity of Spectrum students is endless and is shown all over the school. Take some time to appreciate that every artwork is an outlet and every artist was inspired, even if just by their lunch. This has been Ethan, Natalie, and Ruby, Noise News.
Wonderful work, team.
Next up, a feature presentation with a very special guest from our very special news crew.
Elk River is a beautiful city with many special places and people. One special person is the city's mayor, John Dietz.
This is my 12th year as mayor. I'm going to be running again for re-election this fall. Actually, I served as a city councilman for 16 years prior to becoming the mayor. So actually, this is my 28th year on the Elk River City Council. So I have a lot of experience.
John Dietz grew up in Elk River and has continued to love and give back to the community.
I moved to Elk River when I was 4 years old. My dad bought a grocery store. The place downtown now that's the Old Main Eatery, that used to be my dad's grocery store. So we moved to Elk River when I was 4. I've lived in Elk River all the rest of my life. Went to school here, went to grade school at St. Andrew's Grade School, and I went to Elk River Senior High School.
Just like Mr. Dietz, the city has also grown over the years.
Elk River was a much smaller town when I grew up. The population was probably between 2,000 and 3,000. Right now we're over 25,000. So back in those days it was much smaller. Everybody knew everybody. It was Elk River was a relatively small community. We didn't have any shopping centers or anything like that we have now. It was basically the downtown area. So it was much different back in those days. My high school graduating class at Elk River was 140 students.
Being a part of a city government can be difficult, but rewarding.
Some of the negative things used to really bother me when people would be very critical or nothing was ever right. But after a while, I got used to that, realizing that no matter what you do, you can't make everybody happy. You have to try to do what's best for the majority. And the nice thing about city government that's different than state and federal government is we're not designated as Republicans, Democrats. We don't, you know, we're all non-denomination or all non-political positions. Elk River has really progressed in the last 12 years. One of our biggest accomplishments, I believe, is a program we had called Active Elk River, where we passed a 0.5% sales tax to build the community event center and to do major improvements to several of our parks, spending $35 million. Enjoyed being part of it. It's fun to be on the front end of things when you can help shape your community, you know, with a lot of public input, but things have gone well.
Before becoming involved with the city government, Mr. Dietz was still a part of the community in a different way.
For about almost 30 years, I was the sports editor of the Elk River Star-News newspaper, where I covered all the high school sports and everything. I did that for a long time.
Elk River is quite a big city with lots of land, and with land comes parks.
And some people might not know of the tremendous park system that we have. That's one of our shining stars. Is we have 40-some parks in Elk River, basically a park for everything you could want to do. Our Woodland Trails Regional Park is well known for cross-country skiing and hiking and running and jogging in the whole metro area. We get many compliments on that park. So we take a lot of pride in the parks that we have.
The mayor is just like any other citizen of Elk River, who enjoys many of the things provided.
Really enjoy our new community event center. Obviously, it's less than 2 years old. It's a great place. I love Woodland Trails Park because I am a big walker. I love to walk.
This has been Ruby and Bell, Noise News.
Coming up next, our sports segment.
But before that, a commercial. Take it away, commercial crew.
Hey Ellie, what are you doing?
Not signing up for class registration.
Oh. Well, you need to, Ellie.
What?
Class registration begins on March 1st and should be completed by March 11th.
Oh. Students should talk to their school counselor if they have any questions.
If you are planning on doing a cash class, cash participation agreements must also be turned in by March 11th and should be done each year.
Register right now.
Thanks, commercial crew. Now let's move over to sports with Ethan.
Hello, Spectrum. It's Ethan back again. Hope you missed me, but hold your excitement so we can get to the sports. Hopping right into the action, last week, boys varsity basketball faced United Christian Academy, sending their hopes and dreams into a blaze with a score of 81-32. The boys JV team also faced United Christian, defending their older brother and fending those Crusaders off. Make sure you congratulate varsity because this is their second conference title in the last 3 years. Others that also need congratulating, the wrestling team just finished their season and fought valiantly in sections. Due to lack of intel, these two games don't have scores, but they were no doubt fiery battles. Last Thursday, the girls' varsity basketball team went against Royalty facing Royalton. All three of the boys' basketball teams last Friday faced Annandale High. Coming up this week, golf is taking its first swing with the girls' varsity match at a time and opponent to be determined this Thursday. Also on Thursday, lacrosse will be tossing the competition with a girls and boys match happening this Thursday at a time and opponent also to be determined. If you're interested in the trap team, then now might be the perfect time to go and watch this week's varsity meet. Thursday, they'll be firing around the old boomstick again. Guess what? A time and opponent to be determined. If you remember last time you saw me, then you'll also remember talk of boys basketball tournament. Much like me, another tournament will be returning this Saturday. I'll be seeing you there. Well, that's all the sports we have for today's Spectrum. I hope that I'll be your returning anchor, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Back to you, Natalie and Aaron.
Thanks, Ethan. Next, we have a quick announcement from SVC Senior Representative Gavin Tuckey.
Hi, my name is Gavin Tuckey. I'm a senior representative for the SVC, and I came up with the idea to have a monthly inventory. And it's essentially a form that's going to be sent to your email. It'll be sorted by grade level, and you'll be able to enter in responses to a variety of questions that will allow us to get a pulse for the school's culture, as well as a different way of accessing what people want to say about our school. It literally breaks it down in a chart. We're going to have representatives from our team go through the entire list of responses and present what you have to say to the actual administrative officials at our school. So it's a way of directly influencing our school through your voice.
Thanks, Gavin.
To end off today's show, historian Tanner Gangle, Spectrum Jr., who was recently diagnosed with embryonal carcinoma cancer.
Tanner is loved all throughout the school, and his recent diagnosis was devastating to all of us. More on this with Isaac and Evan.
This January, Tanner Gangle, a dear friend to many around the school, was diagnosed with cancer.
It's a testicle cancer, and it's commonly found in people like 15 to 19.
The process for treating this cancer is extensive and rigorous.
I go in Tuesday, and I stay for 5 days, then I'm out for a week, and I'm on the faster track, so I'm out for only a week at a time rather than usually it's 2 weeks.
Though Tanner is going through a rough journey, he is not alone. Max Reese and other friends and supporters created a GoFundMe for Tanner.
Which the goal was like 10,000, and last time I checked, it was at like 15 or 16,000, which was insane. So that was really helpful.
The community behind him is one of the many things keeping him going.
They reach out a lot, and it was hard at the start. Like there's so many people like reaching out, letting you know that they're there, that it's hard for this to be like a really sad thing, which is nice.
A large part of that community is his friends. John Gregg and Blake Femwright are close friends helping him through this.
I know Tanner from playing sports with him since 6th grade. I used to actually play against him in middle school, and then in high school we ended up being on the same teams. We played football and basketball together, and he tried to recruit me to run track, but it was not exactly. I didn't really go for it.
I also know Tanner from sports and just going to school with him, being around him in basketball and stuff like that.
One of the many things John and Blake did for Tanner was start the Tanner Strong bracelet fundraiser.
Yeah, so we wanted to do a fundraiser, and we wanted something that we could mass produce and get a lot of attention and help get him, not just help and donations. We wanted everyone to be able to support him and back him up and really show him that we're all behind him.
Yeah, it's just important to bring awareness to what he has going on in his life, because everything's not just school and sports. There's stuff outside of sports that matter, and we just wanted to bring awareness to that.
Tanner may be going through a lot, but he possesses many qualities that will help him make it through.
Tanner's just really mentally strong, and he's always been that way, and I think he's one of the strongest mentally and physically kids that is out there, really. And I think that'll help him get through it a lot.
I mean, it sounds worse is I think personally, but it feels scary. That would be my quote.
Tanner Gengel's journey may have just started, but it is far from over. We here at Spectrum are all supporting him, and we can't wait to see him get through this. This has been Evan and Isaac, Noise News.
Best wishes to Tanner.
And with that, we're all out of noise for this week. This has been Arik.
And Natalie.
Keeping you
in on the noise.
So, are you excited for the ACTs?
Definitely not.
No.
I'm scared.